I'm talking about, Jake.
I've worked in the private sector. They expect results.
The Nation of Jake on NewsTalk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
All right, welcome to it.
Yes, have some.
We got Tuesday, November 29th, year of our Lord 2022. Rain with severe weather forthcoming, but mostly rain. All right, we're going to keep an eye on it. Most of the activity will be south of I-40, a lot of it in North Mississippi. That's the hot spot. Again, we will keep an eye on it. If you see anything out there, if anything starts going crazy, talk about tornadoes, talk about hail, talk about flash floods. I think a lot of this was forecast and then said, that's probably not going to be that bad. You're mostly looking at a bunch of rain. So that's one of those days where we don't have windows in the East Memphis studios. I don't have windows in the east of Memphis studios. So you're going to have to be our eyes on the skies. 683-0989. 683-0989. Periodically, we'll send Bud the producer out, during commercials to go assess the situation outside. Or if it starts raining really hard at the East Memphis studios, you can hear it. And so it takes a lot, though, to hear the rain through the soundproof studio. So it's a big frog strangler when it comes through. Our very own Tim Van Horn, he might show up to kind of talk us through what's going on with the weather. Of course, former meteorologist, longtime meteorologist Tim Van Horn from Memphis Morning News. But right now, he's watching the World Cup. He actually told me earlier, he's like, hey, don't call me until after 3 o'clock because I'm watching World Cup soccer. And an update there, apparently, Christian Pulisic scored in the 38th minute, and the U.S. team is up 1-0 on Iran. And I usually don't care about World Cup soccer or soccer in general, other than my daughter's U12 team, but I am keeping an eye on this game for one very good reason. It's these Iranian reporters, these troll reporters that they've sent over to harass all the other teams. We'll talk about that coming up in a little bit. Also, maybe we'll check in with Nick the Storm Chaser. Do you know about Nick the Storm Chaser? I went to high school with this guy, and I really hadn't kept in touch with him at all until a few years back. I heard he was a storm chaser. He told me that he was headed south earlier into where it's supposed to be the worst, and so he's going to drive into the storm. He'll have some video. Maybe we'll catch him, and he can kind of take us through what's going on down in North Mississippi. All right, so Nick the Storm Chaser is very possible he will appear on the program today. So a lot of storm stuff, a lot of stuff going on in the Twitterverse. We'll get into that as well as local headlines. Pete Buttigieg was at Memphis International unveiling some de-icing pads. We'll get into that, this railroad strike. Just a ton of news, but mostly the weather is the number one story. I do want to get into one thing on the Rick's Powder Coating text line before we get any further into it. I want to know, what is your soft drink of choice? And I say this, I ask these questions for a reason. What is your soft drink of choice? Coke, Pepsi, Coke Zero, Diet Coke? What is it? Because your answer could determine whether or not you are in a cult. 683-0989. 683-0989. And we'll play Name Drop in a little bit. Got Malco movie passes for you during Name Drop. All right, so severe weather threat. Thunderstorms, potentially tornadoes, high winds, hail, and that's all the stuff that goes on up in the atmosphere. What you're looking at down below, down branches, trees, power lines, flash flooding, low visibility, traffic delays, and, of course, power outages. I'm looking at the outage map right now for MLG&W. There are 9 outages with 1,500 or so customers affected. Let's make sure we refresh the old outage map. Check that, 1,512 customers affected already. Of course, whenever it rains and you get the threat of high winds and down branches, you always got to look at MLGW. Very old infrastructure with MLG&W. And right now, it's going to be a huge test. For who? For Doug. That's right. Yeah, Doug McGowan, who is the president and CEO of MLG&W. This will be the first big test.
Do it, Doug!
Yeah, I mean, look, you got to be ready. You got to be at the ready. I'm sure they're on standby just waiting for branches that have fallen on the power lines, to get power restored, because they know with any kind of severe weather event, there's a high likelihood you're going to have people without power. The question is, how long, how severe will the damage be, and other precautions that are being taken. Now here's something I kind of expected, but I really haven't experienced a whole lot of. When you were in school, when you were, say, middle school or high school, or if you went to school like I did, really in the 90s is where I did most of my schooling. Do you ever recall school closing early or being canceled because of rain? Rain, y'all. Rain. Even tornadoes wouldn't cancel school. You'd hear a tornado siren, you'd have tornado drills. What would you do? You'd go out in the hallway up against the lockers, maybe with a thick book, maybe that science book you had. You put it over your head, you'd crouch down in the fetal position, you would expose your spine to any, would-be flying objects, bricks and 2x4s, whatever was coming through. But for the most part, most school structures within, at the time, Shelby County Schools, now Memphis Shelby County Schools, those are built to withstand severe weather. I mean, you are in a sturdy brick building. You're probably safer there than you are on, say, I don't know, a bus. Yeah, but you think so? But look, we've got this. The threat of severe weather and tornadoes this afternoon is closing schools. Severe weather is expected to impact the Memphis area on Tuesday. That's today, according to the National Weather Service, and pretty much every other meteorologist in town, even those who are not meteorologists anymore. And there's guys who can't stay away from it. It's encoded in their DNA, like our very own Tim Van Horn. The guy, he knows what's going on. You don't, just because you're not working as a meteorologist anymore, doesn't mean you forget how to read weather maps or how to forecast the weather. Joey Sullipak, this dude's all over Facebook. He is no longer a paid meteorologist. He's got another job in another field. But whenever there's severe weather, you can't keep these guys out of the game. So whether you're looking at John Bryan over at Channel 24, Ron Childers, Todd Demers over at Channel 3, all these guys are all over it today. But the National Weather Service, they're reporting numerous storms likely to produce tornadoes, damaging winds, and large hail. Rainfall is expected to begin this morning, and did begin this morning. It's been off and on all day long, and it will continue through midnight, possibly into early Wednesday morning. The National Weather Service said the storm will affect the entire Mid-South, the highest chances of severe weather, as we said, occurring south of I-40. Memphis Shelby County Schools said it will dismiss all schools early today, and after-school activities have been canceled. Now, this is from the interim superintendent, Tony Williams. Due to today's severe weather forecast, and out of abundance of caution, Memphis Shelby County Schools will dismiss all schools early today. After school activities, including daycare and Y-care, are also canceled. District offices close at 3 p.m. So depending on the school bell times, they're going to dismiss all the kids between 1 p.m. and 2:30, which I guess, out of an abundance of caution, I don't know that that's the best thing to do, because what do you do when you close the school early? You take the kids out of probably a safer environment than they've got, say, out on the road or at home. And then what are parents supposed to do? If the kids are car riders, so the parents have to now make plans to go pick up their kids. The car, everybody's getting out on the road at one time in a mad dash to get their kids, take them where, take them home, take them somewhere so they can either get back to work or they have to check out of work for the rest of the day, use some PTO. For some rain, does this make sense? They didn't do this when I was in school. If it was raining, oh well, you'll stay dry until it's time to go and run to the car, run to the bus. You got a little bit wet. Now, if there were tornadoes going on, and again, maybe you know more about this than do I. Maybe we'll talk to Nick, the storm chaser, about it, or Tim Van Horn. But I would imagine this is going to create more problems than it's going to solve. Think about it. Kid gets out of school at 1 p.m., a couple hours earlier than usual. Well, they're going to get on a bus where they're going to be out in the elements they're going to get home, what happens then? Are they unsupervised at home? Is their home structurally sound to take the brunt of a tornado? Is their parent able to get home to make sure that the kid is safe? You know what? The kid probably has a better shot if they are with teachers and administrators at the school in a big brick building with all the alerts and warnings at the ready than at home or en route to home. But it just seems like Memphis Shelby County schools, they're going to use any and every excuse to shut her down, aren't they? I mean, they're the only school system who shut down for like 2 years because of COVID. Germantown schools isn't closing. Arlington, Bartlett, Collierville schools, they're not closing or releasing kids early because of the rain. I just don't understand how one follows that logic. Like, oh, well, it's going to rain really hard. Well, let's get these kids out of here early. It's like, why? Why is the roof going to spring a leak at the school? Is the school prone to flooding? What is the deal there? So there's a lot to this. The threat of severe weather, even though it's an evolving situation, they're saying most of this is going to be south of I-40 in North Mississippi. But still, hey, do we have the opportunity to shut down the school? Oh, yeah, let's get it. We got to be cautious. Got to be acting. It's rain, you guys. It's rain. I'm learning a lot about the city and their preparedness. I didn't know this. It's not just MLGW, also Shelby County. They have an entire vegetation department. I learned that today. Danny Daniels is the head of the vegetation department. So we will look at what the vegetation department is doing in advance of this severe weather. What is MLG and W doing in advance of this severe weather? What do you see? I got two things on the text line right now. I want to see photos of the sky if it's getting dicey wherever you are. All right, because we have a very wide listening area. It goes all the way. Hell, I've got a coverage map. We go up to Jackson. We go down way south into Mississippi. I mean, 100,000 watts goes a long way. And so the entire Mid-South being affected, I want to know what it looks like where you are. And also, what is your soft drink of choice? Again, be very careful with your answer. Your answer could mean you are in a cult. I didn't know that until today. So those two things, 683-0989, 683-0989, the Rick's Powder Coating text line. All right. Coming up in a little bit, we'll get a World Cup update. Why am I interested in today's match, the U.S. versus Iran? We'll talk about it. Coming up, Pete Buttigieg, the transportation secretary, was at Memphis International. What is he there for? What's the big announcement? We'll talk about it next right here in the Nation of Jake. What is your soft drink of choice?
Yes, have some.
I hope nobody's a Tab person. Tab is the worst tasting soft drink on earth. You know, there's one that kind of flies under the radar. That's the old RC Cola. I always heard about you taking RC Cola, put some peanuts in it. Bud, you probably never heard of RC Cola and putting peanuts in it, have you?
I've heard of RC Cola, not putting peanuts in it.
Yeah. RC Cola and some peanuts. Or, you know, people put peanuts in their Coke sometimes. So, look, if you're a Tab person, sorry. I can't. Tab, it's quite possibly the worst tasting liquid of all time. It's pretty much like the equivalent of black licorice in the soft drink world. Tab. Never understood that, but it was a popular drink for a long time. Then they bring it back, and then they got rid of it, and all these Tab addicts, they demanded it come back. So gross. So on the Rick's Powder Coating text line, I want to know, what is your soft drink of choice? Because it could determine whether or not you are in a cult. You might not even know. Not only are you in a cult, you're in a hardcore cult if you drink a certain soft drink, and I had no idea until today. So what are some of the top choices out there, Bud, on the text line?
So we got an anonymous texter says Barq's Red Cream Soda, which is...
Say that again?
Barq's Red Cream Soda.
Yeah, that's only available on the Gulf Coast, I think. You have to go to like Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, or Waveland, somewhere like that. That's a Gulf Coast drink. You can't get it up here. It is fantastic, by the way.
I don't think I've heard of it.
Red Cream Soda. Fantastic.
We got Coke Zero, another anonymous texter.
That's mine. That's my drink of choice. Like, I only drink a few a week. But when I want one, it's a Coke Zero. I used to be a Diet Coke guy. I was actually a Coke guy And I drank a ton of Cokes, and I got kind of heavy, and it was too much sugar. So I was like, I got to drink Diet Coke for a while. So I did. Then they came out with Coke Zero, and I was like, nah, this is it. I'm a Coke Zero guy now.
I prefer Dr. Pepper myself.
Just regular, straight up Dr. Pepper?
Just regular. I was going to say vanilla, implying like original, but they have a vanilla Dr. Pepper. But no, just the regular, original Dr. Pepper.
I heard that Dr. Pepper is nothing more than carbonated prune juice. Is that true?
I hope not. If it's true, I don't care. It tastes great.
Well, it is. It's a great tasting drink. Every once in a while, I'll have a DP. That said, if it's carbonated prune juice, that might do a number on your old bowels. What else we got?
Livy says Mountain Dew Zero. We got one for LaCroix. That's Trisha.
Oh, man. LaCroix, that's what my wife drinks. My wife is big into LaCroix, and it really just... LaCroix tastes like somebody ate some fruit and then burped in your water. That's what LaCroix tastes like.
To me, it tastes like just citrus. Not like any particular flavor of citrus, but just citrus.
No. See, the watermelon LaCroix or the lemon lime LaCroix, just it's like somebody saw like a Jolly Rancher and then burped into your water, and that's what you've got. That's what a LaCroix is. We'll get into more of this. Nobody yet is in a cult. That's the thing. There are some people I'm sure feel like they are part of a fraternity of soft drink drinkers, but nobody has name-dropped the cult soft drink just yet. More on this coming up very soon, about 10 minutes. Find out if you're in the cult coming up. All right, so today at Memphis International, Pete Buttigieg, the transportation secretary, was there on hand with Mayor Strickland.
Mr. Strickland. Mayor!
Now, this is all part of the $1.9 trillion infrastructure deal that was signed earlier this year. You've got a lot of representatives from the Biden administration going and doing a victory lap, saying, hey, look what we did here. We worked together, reached across the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, to spend a bunch of money, and here's what we spent it on. We've got $330 million de-icing pads have been unveiled at Memphis International Airport in order to speed package deliveries from Fox 13 Memphis. Ice and snow will be no match for packages this winter at a key FedEx air cargo airport and sorting center in Memphis. Officials unveiled the 3.3 million square foot de-icing pads at Memphis International Airport today. The airport is home to FedEx's largest air cargo sorting facility. As you know, many of you who work for FedEx got your start out there. Many people got the tuition reimbursement. One of the best jobs that you can get, entry-level job, is throwing boxes out at the hub. Now, these pads are large enough to de-ice 12 wide-body cargo aircraft simultaneously, which will help get goods where they need to go quicker and more efficiently this holiday season. Now, the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, invested $174 million in the $330 million project. Pete Buttigieg on hand. This holiday season and every season, it's critical that American families and businesses get the goods they need when they need them. Memphis International Airport is the biggest cargo airport in the country, and this innovative aircraft de-icing facility is one of the many ways we're modernizing America's supply chain. All while there's this impending railroad strike that's going on. I guess they're leaving the railroad strike to President Biden. He's Amtrak Joe. He loves trains. He's saying that Congress is going to have to get involved if they don't meet the deadline of December 9th to get this thing worked out. You would think your transportation secretary might take the lead on something like that. I mean, maybe if your president wasn't branded as Union Joe and Amtrak Joe and Working Class Joe, maybe he figures he's got a little bit more clout. But yeah, I guess that Congress is going to have to get involved here. Now, I'm not exactly sure the ins and outs, but Congress could pass a law. They could force a deal between the railroad companies and the unions. But now we're already getting a lot of the people who are key players. I think Senator Marco Rubio has already said that he is more than happy to take a look at any legislation that might resolve this railroad strike, but he will not vote for anything that the workers aren't on board with. So that's what you have right now, is you've got a pretty delicate balance to strike between the railroad companies and the railroad workers. And we have a lot of people who've worked for the railroad for a long time in the nation of Jake. Memphis, a big railroad hub as well. I mean, there are plenty of lines that go right through here. This is America's distribution center because of its geographical location, not just because of the airport and not just because of FedEx. One follows the other. I've always said this, is that as far as logistics goes, as far as Memphis's strategic location goes, that's the one thing that the city council or the state legislature, whoever else is making any kind of policy, that they cannot screw up. So when you've got people over at the U of M saying we need to turn our back on logistics in favor of better, higher-paying jobs, they are missing the point 100%. So Pete Buttigieg in town, unveiling the de-icing pads, which will probably get used once or twice a year. Maybe. All right, we've got severe weather in the area. We'll take a look at the radar. We will get you up to date on how to stay safe. Coming up next, are you in the Diet Coke cult?
Yes, have some.
All right, welcome back to the Nation of Jake. News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. World Cup update, or a World Cup date. U.S. still leads Iran 1-0. U.S. has to win to move on to what I'm told is the knockout round. Right now you've got group play, where all the groups play each other, and then I guess the top two move on, maybe three of them, I don't know, hell. And then they go to the knockout round, where it's you win or you go home. So the U.S. just needs to D up right now because they're up 1-0 in minute 68 on a Christian Pulisic goal. He had to come out of the game, I think, for a few minutes because I think he went a little banging with the goalkeeper or something like that. We'll get into some World Cup pontifications coming up in a little bit. There's a reason that I'm into this game, and you're going to find out here in a little bit. All right, 683-0989. 683-0989. I asked you what's your soft drink of choice. And this isn't just like cheap, what do you think radio. I want to find out who is in the hardcore cult. All right, hey, Bud the producer, we got more people. A lot of people saying they drink Dr. Pepper and Coca-Cola and the mainstream soft drinks. Are there any lesser-known soft drinks? Anybody say Jarritos yet?
Someone said
Jarritos.
ginger ale. We got an anonymous that says
I love
ginger ale or Waterloo. I don't know what. I
don't
that's
know
where
what Waterloo is.
That's where Napoleon died.
Well, it's also the water park where he went in San Dimas.
Right.
Deacon.
First one, then the other.
Right. So I don't know what Waterloo is. We'll have to write some of them down. I see that Denise has brought up Cheerwine. Cheerwine is one of those that you don't see often, but every so often they'll get some money and they'll do some budgeting, and then they'll start doing some marketing. And you're like, oh, yeah, Cheerwine. They showed up at Barbecue Fest a few years back. And the Cheerwine guy started hanging out at the radio station. So all weekend long, we had plenty of Cheerwine. I don't even know what it tastes like. Like, I drank it for an entire weekend when I was like 20, and I still have no idea what it tastes like. So, yeah, there are some lesser-known brands. Anything that's got your attention on the text line, Bud?
Well, my mom, who's a listener of the Nation of Jake, she texted in A&W root beer.
Oh, yeah. A&W, look, there's a huge, I guess, battle between A&W people and Barks people. And then there's the mug people. I don't know why I always tend to go towards Barks because they're the one with bite. And I grew up every summer on the Gulf Coast. And so you've got Barks because I think that's where it's from because they've got all these specialty. They got cream soda and red cream soda that you can only get on the Gulf Coast. But I grew up drinking Barks root beer. I won't turn down an A&W or a mug, but I can tell the difference. Mug is very, I don't know, almost tastes minty. You know how root beer kind of has that minty aroma? Mug is very much like, it's almost got a peppermint taste to it. So I don't really like it as much as Barks. But A&W is a good brand as well. Good for the root beer floats. A lot of these drinks people are mentioning are better mixers than they are actual just drink them up. You know? Ginger ale's that way. You know, I like a ginger ale every now and again, but for the most part, you keep that on hand as a mixer.
We got a texter here that says Waterloo is flavored water, kind of like LaCroix, but better.
Oh, Waterloo's better than LaCroix, so it's like a burp water. That's what I call it. It's burp water. Clearly Canadian.
But it's better so the
stuff.
person brushed their teeth first.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so the reason I bring it up is because, well, the Washington Post has done some exceptional work. I mean, it's a historic institution of a newspaper, is the Washington Post. With Woodward and Bernstein, the Watergate, Deep Throat, all that stuff. That's Washington Post. Well, here's the headline from Washington Post. Elon Musk and the hardcore cult of Diet Coke. That's right, because Elon Musk, having bought Twitter, he is the most evil man in the world. So anything and everything that he does has to be somehow evil.
Elon.
This is from WAPO. Elon Musk, the world's richest human, might be completely unrelatable in most ways. Who among us can buy a $44 billion company on a whim or build a rocket ship to Mars because they liked reading science fiction as a kid? But hey, he's got at least one thing in common with the common man. Are you ready? Musk on Monday tweeted a photo of his nightstand, which bore an odd array of items, including 2 non-firing replica guns, a Buddhist amulet, and 4 open cans of caffeine-free Diet Coke. All right, I don't really see the point in caffeine-free Diet Coke, because what are you drinking, really? What benefit are you getting? Is it truly just for the taste of it? Because caffeine-free, any soft drink, I don't know why you would do that. It's like decaffeinated coffee. It's half the point is the caffeine that you get. And then the no sugar part, it's like, well, okay, then what are you really getting out of it? The Washington Post in their intrepid journalism goes on. At least in his apparent affinity for the calorie-free cola, he is in vast company. Even those who never drink the stuff are familiar with the Diet Coke people. They are a tribe whose allegiance to the product goes beyond brand loyalty and into something deeper. Sure, there are other ways people organize their identities around a preference for one thing over another, sports fans maybe, or people with those Yeti stickers on their trucks. But Diet Coke drinkers differ in that they typically engage constantly with their beloved aspartame-sweetened potion. Many imbibe all day, every day, empty cans or bottles collecting on their desktops and, like Musk, their bedsides. Diet Coke's profile has ebbed and flowed since it was introduced in 1982. Remember, just 1 calorie, just for the taste of it, Diet Coke. I remember when Diet Coke was brand new. If you were a kid in the 80s and you saw those commercials, it was you. It was targeted towards ladies who didn't want to pack on the pounds drinking regular Coke. Silver can, just 1 calorie, just for the taste of it. And you had like all these hot ladies singing the song, right? It was gross. If you took 1 sip of Diet Coke and you were like, no, this is awful. Terrible aftertaste. So gross. So gross. Now, since 1982, it has survived for the 4 decades since, from its designation as the in quaff of Hollywood through the rise of bottled water, past its association as a mom drink. Even now, its packaging defies the trend away from the products labeled as diet. The current preferred nomenclature is zero sugar. And concern about its health effects. A New York Times story last year about a former addict was titled, "I was powerless over Diet Coke." Its can was briefly slenderized to better appeal to millennials. Now it's back to its regular 12-ounce shape. In 2018, the New Yorker stuck a fork in the Diet Coke phenomenon, citing as evidence its unsavory acolytes, including former President Donald Trump and Harvey Weinstein. It is, the magazine declared, the elixir of soft-bodied plutocrats desperate to shed their shady pasts and possibly a few pounds. Still, the cult persists, with fans on Facebook and Reddit sharing photos of their stocked fridges and Mormon mommies on TikTok showing their dirty versions spiked with lime and coconut syrup. What? Is that a thing? Musk previously proclaimed his love for the beverage. Diet Coke is amazing, especially the soda fountain version at movie theaters with salt and buttered popcorn. That's what he tweeted in June, following up by saying he doesn't care if it lowers my life expectancy. And in April, he tweeted his plan to restore the drink's original formula, saying he's going to, put cocaine back in Coke. In a 2007 interview with Inc. magazine, Musk said that at one point he was downing 8 cans of Diet Coke a day along with several large coffees, a regimen he ultimately had to cut back. He says, I got so freaking jacked that I seriously started to feel like I was losing my peripheral vision, he said. Now the office has caffeine-free Diet Coke. I guess that's that's the point. You eat too much caffeine, get caffeine overload, and then when you get the withdrawal, that's for real, man. The caffeine withdrawal, you get the headaches, because that's what caffeine does. In case you don't know how it works, I'm married to a medical professional, and she's always telling me all the little things, how they affect your body. When you ingest caffeine, it restricts the blood flow in your head. Those capillaries, those tiny little veins, they restrict. They get smaller. So in absence of caffeine, you get more blood flow and it starts pounding your head. At least that's how it was explained to me. Diet Coke might be a drink of the people. You can pick up a 24-pack for $12, but even those who have the resources to drink anything else still choose it. Well, maybe there's something to just for the taste of it. Maybe the Coca-Cola company came up with a formula that people actually like. I don't relate. I don't like it, at least not for the taste of it. Trump reportedly drank as many as 12 cans a day, and he was said to have used a call button on the Resolute desk in the Oval Office primarily as a means of summoning a fresh glass. Ben Affleck is another high-profile fan. He said he'd been holding a can in paparazzi photos, and a video posted by his wife, Jennifer Lopez, revealed what looked like a soda fountain in his personal office that dispenses it alongside, confusingly, Diet Pepsi, which the cult of Diet Coke famously abhors. But the majority of the Diet Coke army are like people you know, the colleague who pops a can every afternoon or the girlfriend whose car cup holder always contains at least one half-finished bottle. They will tell you how much better it is than Coke Zero or how McDonald's sells the best version. They might have strong opinions about ice shape. Their bedside tables might not merit national attention, but they might look a lot like the one belonging to the richest guy on the planet. All right. I clicked on that link and I read the whole thing, and I thought it was only fair that you guys had to hear it as well. They will do anything at this point to liken Elon Musk to other people that they abhor, like President Donald Trump or even Harvey Weinstein, because those are the names that come up. I mean, I'm not sure where Ben Affleck jumps in. They missed a huge opportunity. Do you know who they missed in all of this? The great John Daly. Holy crap. Have you ever heard the interviews with John Daly about how much Diet Coke he was drinking?
I never drink water on tour.
What do you drink?
Diet Coke. I like to have ice, which to me is water, so I get plenty of water in my Diet Coke.
My man was drinking 28 a day. A day. He would drink 28 Diet Cokes a day. But I guess, John Daly's a likable dude, affable fella. They didn't want to put him in there. That would kind of ruin their whole hardcore cult of Diet Coke. What is this? What is this? The guy has the federal government crawling all over him.
We have always been very clear, and that when it comes to social media platforms, it is their responsibility to make sure that when it comes to misinformation, when it comes to the hate that we're seeing, that they take action, that they continue to take action. Again, we're all keeping a close eye on this. We're all monitoring what's currently occurring, and we see it with our own eyes of what you all are reporting, and just for ourselves, what's happening on Twitter.
So they're keeping a close eye on Elon Musk's Twitter. The federal government, with the full force at their disposal to make sure that's kind of goofy, isn't it? So that's Karine Jean-Pierre from yesterday's press briefing talking about, we're keeping an eye on that Elon Musk. That's not the first time. That's not the first time. President Biden himself has talked about, we're keeping an eye on him. Yeah, we'll look into him if we need to. So it doesn't just stop at his dealings with Twitter. It's also, what kind of other people around the globe is he doing business with? And, what kind of soft drink is he tweeted a photo of him and all his caffeine-free Diet Coke. He must be in a cult. Well, I guess GOP minority leader Kevin McCarthy actually came to Elon Musk's defense.
They're keeping an eye on Twitter under Elon Musk's ownership and leadership.
That is offensive to me. Government's going to go after someone that wants to have free speech.
What do they have to look at Twitter about? Do they want to go more after American public about whether they can have an opinion on something? I think the American public have spoken on this. I think our First Amendment stands up, and I think they should stop picking on Elon Musk.
Leave Elon Musk alone. This is like Britney all over again, isn't it? I'll leave Britney alone. All right, so are you in the Diet Coke cult? Or are you in another cult? There's got to be a cult of Tab. Those Tab people. Seriously, if there was a cult, it's got to be the Tab people. There's no way, man. You guys remember the first time you drank a Tab because, Marty McFly name-dropped Tab in Back to the Future? You're like, I might try one of those. And you're like, oh, my God, what is this? What is this stuff? 683-0989, your soft drink of choice. And then, we'll figure out what it says about you. How about that? We'll just kind of like, we'll do some generalizations. We'll do some generalizing. I mean, if you've got any kind of preconceived notions about people who enjoy a certain soft drink, why don't you send them on over on the Rick's Powder Coating text line, 683-0989. We'll also get an update on the severe weather threat throughout the Mid-South. I have not seen any rotational winds yet, but we will keep our eyes on the skies. If you see anything, go ahead and text that over too, 683-0989. We'll check in with Tim Van Horn in a little bit, and we'll get a World Cup update. Why I, a man who does not like soccer, am suddenly invested in this U.S. team, especially against their opponent today, Iran. We'll talk about it next right here in the Nation of Jake. All right, 683.
Yes, have some.
0989, 683-0989. We can talk about whatever you want. Look, we're looking at the sky, severe weather in the area. Be sure and let me know if there's anything going on. I'm in a studio with no windows. Bud, the producer, is in his studio with no windows. We don't know what's going on outside unless it starts raining real hard, and we can hear it tap, 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 tap up top on the metal roof here at the East Memphis studios. I got no shot where I am in the home studio. This thing is soundproof. It's like double pane glass, like an Ace Ventura. I have no idea what's going on for the 3 hours I'm in here. That's why I'm here with you. 683-0989. You can also call that number like Brian did. Hey, Brian, what's on your mind?
Well, first of all, I have a roofing company, so I'm hoping it comes down hard, man.
Why, you want the rest of the day off, right? No, you want it because then you can get with the insurance folks. You want hail, you want all kind of stuff, and then you can go ahead and I know the game.
Yeah, I used to say I don't want anybody to get hurt, but I'm even okay with that one. Man, the building you're sitting in, I did a morning show over on Kicks 106. I was there for Hurricane Elvis.
Hold on, this is Brian Elder? This is Brian Elder,
man?
I know you. Yeah, dude. I know you. I know you. Yep. You can see my stuff from space. You're over there looking at my house right now.
Guy.
Yep.
I'm spying on you. You were talking about drops, yes, have some and that kind of stuff. When I was a kid,
yes, have some.
There was a disc jockey named Dr. Don Rose in the 70s. And that guy, he back in the 70s, he did all these drops. There was constant drops. And back in those days, he had an engineer with like 30 cart machines because there was no computerized way to do it.
Man. In fact, Brian, I got into radio right after carts. When I started over at 92.9, back when it was a rock station, there were still carts around. There was a cart machine, but they had just moved over to Maestro, this digital deal, right? But it was still like we were still doing air checks on cassette tapes. We still did some reel-to-reel, like all Chris Corley stuff came over on reel-to-reel. And so it was kind of like I had an appreciation for that kind of stuff. Versus now when I've just got an iPad and then a soundboard, it's so I can pull down a drop faster than anybody ever could in the 70s. But those guys were masters back then. They had to pre-plan and prepare. It was amazing stuff.
Oh, it's tough. And then imagine that you got a guy whose job it is to have 30 cart machines and just start throwing stuff out. It was amazing.
Unbelievable. Yeah, but, and the thing is, man, you're a host there in San Francisco. He expected that guy to have the right drop at the right time, no matter what. Always. That was a high-pressure situation back then.
There's a lot, like Howard Stern has a guy, Fred Norris, it's always cool to hit. He really does a good job at it. You do a great job at it.
Well, but it's easy for me, man. The guys in the past, those guys had to, they had to take a lot of steps. Now, if I want to drop, I can get it in a commercial break, and then boom, I can wear it out. But here's the thing, Brian. I don't like to do too many. I think, you got to be tasteful with the sound effects and the drops on a show like this.
Yeah, you're right. My man,
Did
you ever
go on?
Did you ever edit with a razor blade?
You know what? I learned how to do that. You take a razor blade and you put little pieces of paper in the reel-to-reel to mark all the spots. I was trained to do that, but I never had to do it, like for real.
Yeah, good times, man. I appreciate your time. You love the show.
You got it, brother. Appreciate you, Brian. He'll do your roof if it gets damaged by a hail. Appreciate you listening. All right, so look, we got severe weather in the area. We'll get an update on that coming up with our headlines, right? Also, we've got World Cup update. I believe that the U.S. team is still up 1-0. Look, I don't really care about soccer, all right? But then, I watched a little over the weekend. I watched the U.S. draw with England, it was not a loss, not a win, but not a loss. But I guess this Iranian team is really setting me off. Not the team, but the people they sent over to cover the team. Check out what these troll reporters from Iran are doing to our guys at the press conferences.
You say you support the Iranian people, but you're pronouncing our country's name wrong. Our country is named Iran, not Iran. Please, once and for all, let's get this clear.
All right, so an Iranian reporter is up there asking questions of Tyler Adams, the captain of the U.S. team, and he's like lecturing him because Tyler Adams said Iran instead of Iran. And then he starts going on. He's like, how do you feel about playing for such a racist country? It's like, what? Your country, you guys stone gay people to death. You don't let women drive. You don't let women go to school. You make your women wear masks everywhere. Get out of here. Iran so far away. Headlines next.
Jake, where'd you get those boots?
But he's got meat between his ears.
Yeah.
The Nation of Jake on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
All right, we got a World Cup date.
Yes, have some.
Yeah, they're minute 9 of stoppage time. U.S. versus Iran. 1-0. U.S. leads. And look, I normally would not give a flip about World Cup. It's final now. Final now. USA wins. USA moves on. Iran, go home. That's right. Go home and face off with the Ayatollah over not singing the national anthem. That's what country Iran is. Look, I want to back up a little bit. I am a patriot. I love the United States. I don't like soccer all that much, but as long as the U.S. is playing, I'm rooting for them. I don't care if they've got rainbows on their jerseys or what. I don't care anything about that noise. When it comes down to it, I'm not just a patriot. I practice jingoism, all right? I love the USA, especially when national pride is on the line. So when I saw this was a win or go home match for the U.S., now 1-0 the final, U.S. moves on, I was like, all right, that's great. But then I started looking at these videos of these Iranian journalists who are covering the Iranian national team, and they're a bunch of trolls. These guys are just going around asking offensive questions of all the teams, including the U.S. team. All right, the captain of the U.S. team, Tyler Adams, seems like a really nice young man. He's playing in a World Cup. This is everything to these guys. He's up there at the days, what is that? At the table with the microphone, and then an Iranian reporter gets up, and there's a lot of turmoil going on in Iran. There's a lot of protests going on in Iran. Tyler Adams said something to the effect of he supports the Iranian people, and this is what he gets in return from this Iranian journalist.
Say you support the Iranian people, but you're pronouncing our country's name wrong. Our country is named Iran, not Iran. Please, once and for all, let's get this clear.
Let's get this clear once and for all. It's like, what are you even do you have a question, sir? Do you have a question? Or are you there to lecture our guys on how to say Iran? I would have just started singing The Flock of Seagulls, is what I would have said. Iran. I'll say it however I want to. I'm American, but that's not what Tyler Adams said. That's not how that's not how he approached the question, even though it was an aggressive question. It wasn't even a question. It was more of a public scolding of our guy. So as soon as I saw this clip, I'm like, no, Iran's got to go down. We've got to beat these guys. I don't care what's going on in Iran. I don't care if the Iran deal is on and off. I don't care about the Ayatollah. Just got to send these guys home. He actually did ask a question, though.
Second of all, are you okay to be representing a country that has so much discrimination against black people in its own borders? And we saw the Black Lives Matter movements over the past few years.
My apologies on the mispronunciation of your country. That being said, there's discrimination everywhere you go. One thing that I've learned, especially from living abroad in the past years and having to fit in different cultures, is that in the U.S. we're continuing to make progress every single day. I grew up in a white family with obviously an African American heritage and background as well. So I had a little bit of different cultures, and I was very, very easily able to assimilate in different cultures. So not everyone has that ease and the ability to do that, and obviously it takes longer to understand. And through education, I think it's super important. Like you just educated me now on the pronunciation of your country. So it's a process. I think as long as you see progress, that's the most important thing.
Very classy response to a question, a BS question. That was a garbage question being asked. The guy from Iran doesn't care about Black Lives or Black Lives Matter or discrimination. He is trying to get this young man, the captain of the U.S. men's national team, to submit and apologize and grovel. And in a bit of a way, he kind of succeeded. But that is an example of this young man being a professional. He's not going to start a fight with the guy. He's just going to go out there and he's going to beat up on Iran and send them home. Now, here's the country we don't live in. All right, Iran. These guys go out there. I guess in their opening match, they refused to sing the Iranian national anthem. All right, well, now they go out today. They were singing. You know why? Because the Iranian government threatened to kill their families if they did not. Now, let's contrast and compare that to the good old United States of America. If you choose to protest the anthem in the United States of America, take a knee, Colin Kaepernick style, sit it out, it doesn't matter. If you decide not to take part in our national anthem, stand up for it, cover your heart, take your hat off, do whatever, you will probably get criticized. You'll get a lot of support. But nobody is going to threaten to murder your family like the guys over in Iran. So I wish Tyler Adams would have maybe given a little more of a full-throated defense. Maybe that wasn't the venue. I think the best thing to do is just go out there and send them home. Because hopefully now that Iranian reporter, maybe he's got to go home too. How would you...
You say you support the Iranian people, but you're pronouncing our country's name wrong.
Yeah, so what? Go pound sand. Do you have a question? If not, sit down. And I want to go talk to that little hot Australian reporter. That's how I would have handled it. Turd. All right, so we got some local headlines. Of course, severe weather in the area. I don't know how severe it is right now. A lot of rain. You know what? The Memphis Shelby County schools, they all would have been out by, now or about half an hour from now. Good thing they closed early for all that rain. It's wet out. So Memphis Shelby County schools, along with some other area school systems, decided to dismiss early today out of an abundance of caution. But really what they did is they just probably created a burden for a lot of parents. A lot of parents had to find a way to get their kid from school to home. If they're not bus riders, they're car riders, whatever it is, some of those kids were bused to a home where there was nobody there. There's no adult supervision. Maybe that's the status quo for a lot of kids, but it seems like it was wholly unnecessary. I think early on, there was a lot of threats of rotational winds, tornadoes. Most of that is going to go on in North Mississippi. Maybe we'll talk to Nick, the storm chaser. We'll see. He's out there on it. He's going right into the middle of things. But now we've got, of course, anytime there's severe weather with high winds, possibility of down branches, get into some power lines. Well, you got to be prepared. And this is Doug's moment. If there was ever a moment for Doug McGowan,
Doug gets things done.
it's now. It's now. I mean, we're looking at the outage map right now. I've got an updated outage map. Here we go. Just refresh it, make sure that we're up to date. There are 10 outages as of now. Customers affected at this hour, 39. So all seems to be in pretty good shape with regards to MLG and W. Of course, these things can change real quick. All right, so we'll stay on top of it. I did learn this today. Not only does MLGW have to be at the ready for any power outages, also Memphis Public Works, Shelby County crews. Check this out. I had no idea that this was a thing. We got the severe storm threat for the Mid-South has the Shelby County Road Department ramping up its tree crews to service any of the over 800 miles of roadway they cover. Danny Daniels is the manager of the Shelby County Road Department and the Vegetation Department. I did not know there was an entire Department of Vegetation within Shelby County. Think about it. Just think about your own house. You know, a ditch from the morning show, from Memphis Morning News. Every time it rained or there was a threat of severe weather or a lot of rain, he would have to go home and wait for the rain so he could divert water out of his basement. And that is no way to live. You know, that was an ongoing thing. It was a saga when we were on the morning show over at Rock 103 together. It was like, what is Ditch going to do about the rain this time? He's digging culverts. He's like, got PVC pipe. He's got all these different contraptions to divert water around it. And, you got trees at your house, some are looking a bit squirrely, in more ways than one. Now you got some dead wood up in the trees. You got to call Jared over at Woodland to kind of check it out. It's going to be expensive, Well, this is what this guy has to do for the whole county. Danny Daniels of the Vegetation Department. This guy probably drives around all day looking at suspect branches, going, man, next big storm, that thing's coming down. We got to get out in front of this. We got to do it. But then he hires all these tree services, and they get robbed. And then they're like, no, we're not doing this anymore. So I don't know if I would want to be in charge of the Vegetation Department. Oh, we've got this, and this is one of those things that I saw coming. This is one of the first things that I said when King Steve Mulroy, the DA of Shelby County, started to assemble his transition team. Here we go. We've got the trial for suspects in slaying of Greater Memphis Chamber leader Phil Trineri has been delayed. The trial has been delayed. Well, why? Well, let's find out why from Julia Baker, Daily Memphian. The December 5th trial for the suspects in the 2018 slaying of Greater Memphis Chamber President and CEO Phil Trineri has been delayed due to a potential conflict of interest in the Shelby County District Attorney's Office. Lorna McCluskey, the defense attorney for one of the suspects, is now employed by whom? By King Steve Mulroy. Sworn into office November 2nd as head of the post-convicted justice unit, McCluskey was the lead attorney in suspect McKinney Wright's case and a partner in the law office of Massey, McCluskey, Fuchs, and Ballinger. Because of that, they need to figure out who's going to represent him now. That's according to Shelby County Criminal Court Division 8 Judge Chris Kraft. Wright, the suspect, is now being represented by Lauren Fuchs, another partner in the firm. At the December 5th hearing, the judge will determine whether he wishes to waive the conflict of interest and continue seeking counsel from Massey, McCluskey, Fuchs, and Ballinger. I should say the suspect is going to make that decision. However, Kraft, the judge, Judge Kraft, is saying, they were part of the same firm. Can I let this firm defend this suspect? Can I even let the DA's office, Steve Mulroy's office, prosecute it now? Because this is a conflict of interest. And it's one of the things that I brought up when I saw the transition team. You saw a lot of defense attorneys. I was like, how many of these defense attorneys have pending litigation, have cases in this DA's office? And how is this not going to be a conflict of interest? And so you've got a very high-profile case here. Somebody, by the way, a couple of people, they murdered Phil Trineri like in his front yard after a 5K. There was some sort of charity race. He was out there, I guess, maybe checking his mail. I mean, he was very near his house on South Main or thereabouts on the South Bluffs. and they shot him in the face. This is a huge case, high-profile murder trial, and it's all up in the air now because of a conflict of interest, and it's exactly what we knew was going to happen. I'm sure there's more to it. All right, we've got porch pirates, the time of year. You know you're going to have the porch pirates. Police are searching for a porch pirate in East Memphis. Person's accused of stealing packages off an East Memphis porch there in the neighborhood. Memphis Police Department responded to a theft November 26th at 4:15 p.m. at a home on Shady Grove. Video surveillance showed a silver four-door GM pickup truck pull up in front of the house. The suspect then runs to the porch, grabs several packages to get back into the truck and drive away. It's an ongoing investigation. But you know what? You're going to see a lot of this. A lot of porch pirating, which is really stupid because everybody's got a Ring doorbell now. And also, you might catch with somebody's home, and they might come out on their front porch with a weapon, one of those semi-automatic jobs. All right. Oh, we've got a story late breaking yesterday. Now we've got a 3-year-old boy was rushed to Le Bonheur Children's Hospital Monday afternoon after showing up at a fire station there in the airport area. Memphis police said the young shooting victim was brought to the fire station on East Shelby Drive around 2:30 p.m. by family members. The 3-year-old boy was transported then to the hospital in critical condition. When moments matter, maybe take the kid straight to the hospital. You know, if you find a baby, like in a dumpster or around a dumpster, take the kid to the fire department. Or if you don't want your baby, they say that's where you go. You take the baby to the fire department. But if you've got a toddler who is shot and bleeding, maybe take that kid right to the hospital instead of maybe taking the old detour by way of the fire department. Investigators said the shooting was accidental and happened in the 3100 block of Kelt Cove. Police say his father, 53-year-old Jerome Johnson, was charged with aggravated child neglect and reckless endangerment after the child got access to a gun he left unattended. The child remains in critical condition. So that's the way it should go down. You got guns in the house, you leave them out, accessible to small children. With those guns, children hurt themselves or other people, then yeah, you should be on the hook. We got some more headlines, but we don't have a whole lot of time for it. So the World Cup update. The USA moves on. Maybe we'll talk to Tim Van Horn, not just about the weather, but also the World Cup. We'll do that. We'll try to check in with Nick the Storm Chaser here soon, see what he is seeing. He is going down into it. He's going down south of town to see what he can see. He's a little bit off his rocker. You have to be, I think, to be a storm chaser. And we got more text on the Rick's Powder Coating text line. We'll do that as we continue right here in the Nation of Jake. All right, welcome back to the Nation of Jake.
Yes, have some.
NewsTalk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. People are blowing me up going, wait, they closed school for this? This is just rain. I don't know. Look, it could get real bad. It could turn bad. I know the South. I was watching some videos of down in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Things are going insane down that way. And so, you know, it's not all that far away. So, look, these things, they can take a turn very quick. All right, maybe we'll catch up with Nick the Storm Chaser. We'll give him a little bit, you know, because right now it doesn't really seem like the time to do it. Well, maybe in hour number 3, we'll hit up Nick the Storm Chaser, maybe even Tim Van Horn. That guy is probably just tearing the roof off his place with the U.S. 1-0 win. What do they call that? 1-0? 1-0 over Iran. So the U.S. moves on. From what I understand, you know, the U.S. men's national team, they've not been that great. They've underperformed here lately. They haven't been good in a long time. You've had some stars here and there, the Landon Donovans and Tim Howards, but you haven't had a team really make a deep World Cup run in a while. So this is big. This is big time for a guy like Tim Van Horn, who's a huge soccer guy. I think that he does some play-by-play for Memphis 901 FC. So not only is he an expert on the weather, he's also an expert on football. So we will try to get him ready and willing to talk to us. If he's not already drunk. I don't know if Tim gets drunk. All right. So anything on the text line, the Rick's Powder Coating text line, open as always, 683-0989. Bud, the producer, you're always monitoring the text line. Anything we need to know about?
Scott's asking about the river. if it's back up after the past storms. I know remember we were talking about it was down low. I don't know. I haven't seen anything about it coming back up.
Well, no, I've read that it's coming back up, but what we see here in the Mid-South with regards to rain, we don't really see that reflected in the river level because it all goes downstream. So I guess we've had rain up north, and that has run down to us. So it's not like the rain here is going to fill up the river. The rain here is going to fill up the river down Jackson's way. So it's kind of, it flows downriver. So, I mean, I guess that's how it was explained to me. It makes sense. I mean, intuitively, of course. Upriver, when you get rain, it's going to affect the river level here. But I've seen that it is up from the record low, and it is projected to keep going up back to more normal levels. But again, I don't have a view of the river. I don't have any cameras on the river. I did see a camera. There was a big wreck on I-40 west of Covington Pike. And when you've got a big wreck like that in this kind of weather, it could really screw up traffic. And it doesn't help when Memphis Shelby County Schools closes early because of the rain. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me to create some sort of mad dash, in the middle of the day to get the kids out of the school when they're probably the safest in those structures. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that because conventional wisdom changes over time. When I was in middle school and into high school, if there was some sort of severe weather event, let's say a tornado watch or warning, there was a protocol for it. We would have tornado drills. We would go out in the hallway, we'd grab a book, we'd put it over our heads, get in the fetal position until, all was clear. Maybe we'd sit there with our backs to the lockers, take a break from being down with our heads ducked down, duck and cover. There are people who are older than me who did that kind of stuff in the event of a nuclear war. No, they didn't close school early. They said, no, duck and cover. Yeah, that's right. That's right, the whole Cuban Missile Crisis. Some of the boomers, a little older, some of the older Gen Xers, they remember that kind of stuff. And now, when it's raining, we've got Memphis Shelby County Schools, out of an abundance of caution, we're going to close the school early so the kids get wet earlier because that's what's going to happen.
Zone? I mean, it makes sense if they're in like a flood zone, right?
Who would build a school in a flood zone?
That's a good point.
So you build a school in a flood
There's
zone?
There's a lot of old stuff here in Memphis. It could have been before.
Yeah, look, if the sewage around the school is prone to backing up, maybe, but why would you do that? Again, for me, I would rather my kid have the routine of staying at school until 3 or 3:30, whenever the hell they get out, 2:30 if they're in a high school or whatever the bell times are, and then they get home on their bus and everything is pretty much according to plan, other than the fact that, the weather, the wind might be kicking up and it might be wet. Don't make me have to take off early from work and use some PTO to go get my kid from school, and then it'd be nothing. 683-0989. There's plenty that is trending in the Twitterverse, the national news. We'll get updated on all that coming up next right here in the Nation of Jake. I think the rain is starting to come down.
Yes, have some.
Wolfman has checked in from Germantown, and he says, yep, it is raining. A frog strangler right as school is getting out. Maybe there is something to let them out early, so they're not all getting poured upon. But you know what? We never closed early when I was in school. Back in my day, we got soaked, and we liked it. That's where you make your memories. You're getting on the bus, and it's pouring down rain, getting off the bus, trying to dodge the raindrops. Look, it's just rain, and I think that right now, that's all it's going to be. I believe we have Jeff Brightwell is in the news lounge over there. He's monitoring the situation, so we'll check in with Jeff if need be. We will hit up Tim Van Horn if need be, coming up to talk about the weather, or really about the World Cup, because that is what is trending in the Twitterverse.
Masters of the Twitterverse!
Trending topics, viral videos, viral stories, national news, a lot of it all finds its way into the Twitterverse. I'm on Twitter, @NationOfJake. You can follow the show there. All the stuff that we talk about in the Twitterverse, I will retweet or quote tweet or like it. It'll make it easier for you to find. Bud, the producer, always along for the ride. He is @Bud Motormouth. But yep, your whole timeline, whether you are a soccer fan, whether you call it soccer, whether you call it football, whether you care about the World Cup or not, everybody is talking about the USA's big win over Iran.
Robinson, back for the captain, Tyler Adams. Austin McKinney, Dest making a big run. It's meant for him. Dest is snuck in behind. Dest into the middle. Pulisic scores! Might have paid the price.
And Christian Pulisic, there, he's the star player. The LeBron James of soccer with the one and only goal, the game winner in minute number 38. That was probably the best strike on Iran since Soleimani. I think that was actually the most consequential since Soleimani got blown to bits a few years back. So now there's been this whole thing, I guess, that FIFA or Fox or whoever is in charge of the marketing of the World Cup, they've had this whole football versus soccer debate. The rest of the world calls it football, but that's not what we call it here. But then after the U.S. beating Iran to advance at the World Cup, listen to the chant. It's called soccer, the USA fans chant. And I was thinking about this the other day. How much do you have to love soccer to go to Qatar to watch the team play? I mean, go all the way to Qatar, where they don't allow you to drink. You're going to go there and you're going to be kicked out if you wear a shirt they don't like. But yet these people over there, they are truly jingoists. They are patriots. I love the fact that they are there watching the U.S. stomp on Iran. Woo! I don't even like soccer, but I'm into it. I'm into it. You're probably seeing all these same videos throughout your timeline if you were on the Twitter machine. Bud, are you seeing these things too?
Yeah, they pop up a bit.
Yeah. It's a big deal, man. It's a big deal.
I did hear the
U.S.
chant.
men's
I did
national
enjoy
team
that.
has not been good in a long time, so for them to advance, it's once every 4 years, man. It's kind of like a huge event. What else do you have in your timeline besides soccer stuff?
Not Elon Musk yet.
Yeah, you know what? Elon is actually pretty absent today from the old Twitterverse. There's, we read earlier about the cult of Diet Coke that Elon is a part of, and if we wanted to dig, we could find a bunch of stuff on Elon. But this is a welcome break from Elon, isn't it?
Kinda. So,
Okay.
Ye, the artist formerly known as Kanye West,
Ye!
walked out of a podcast after about 5 minutes when they scrutinized him. Here, I got the moment.
What's his problem?
I think they've been extremely unfair to you.
Who was they, though? We can't say who they is,
corporate
can we?
press. I'm not using I don't use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking
It is
about
them, though, isn't it? I mean, because
No.
because when you think about it, consider it. In 2018,
What do you mean it's not? What do I mean? Like, okay, so how about? You leaving?
Are you referring to the press?
He's gone.
Yeah, so he wouldn't refer to it like the media the same way that Kanye does. So he just got up and walked out.
He said they
Yeah.
Tim Pool is the host of that podcast,
Yep.
the Timcast, and so he was saying they have been unfair to you, meaning the press, and so Kanye pressed him, said, "What do you mean by they? Who do you mean by they?" He wanted Tim to say the Jews,
right?
But Tim wouldn't do it. Tim wouldn't say it because I don't think that Tim believes that.
Yeah, most of the like responses I'm seeing to this are people supporting Tim, saying like he didn't do anything wrong, and Kanye just the slightest bit of pushback and he walked right. It was only 5 minutes. It's a 3-hour podcast. He made it 5 minutes. But he was also on there with Nick Fuentes, and I've been seeing some stuff about this guy, and he doesn't seem.
Who is he, by the way?
He is awful, I guess. I haven't seen a lot of. Again, it's hard to tell if he's actually awful or the left hates him awful. You know what I mean? Where they blow things out of proportion. But I've seen some pretty damning stuff about him. I'm not ready to hop on board.
Well, he is branded as a white supremacist.
Yeah.
Like everybody agrees, I believe, that Nick Fuentes, and again, I don't know who he is. Let me just give you a little bit of a background. The other day, let's say before Thanksgiving, I was sitting around minding my own business, having no idea what a Balenciaga was. I thought it was like fancy bread. I did not know what a Balenciaga was. Am I saying that right? Balenciaga?
Who cares?
I had no idea what that was. And also, I had no idea who Nick Fuentes was. The only Fuentes that I really knew about or cared about was Daisy Fuentes. But this Nick Fuentes guy has jumped into my headspace, and I had no idea just a few days ago what these things were. And now they're everywhere. And
yeah,
I'm
I
not
just heard
happy
about him
it.
today with this event, and I think I saw some tweets before where they're like, "Why is Kanye hanging out with this guy?" But they say that about almost anyone he spends time with.
Well,
so
Ye has Nick Fuentes in tow, and then Ye and Nick Fuentes, whoever he is, they go to dinner with President Trump over at Mar-a-Lago, and so everybody now is talking about how former President Donald Trump hosted a white supremacist at Mar-a-Lago, which is probably not the best look. But again, I had no idea who the guy was just a few days ago. And now everybody's telling me, oh, no, he's a white supremacist. He dines with Trump in Mar-a-Lago. Like, what? So,
like I said, when you hear someone new like that and you see it on social media, it's hard to know off the bat without doing any investigating if they're actually awful or just the angry people on Twitter hate them. I mean, they call Elon Musk a white supremacist. So it's hard to you gotta do some digging and actually figure out what these guys are about.
I just want to go back to when I didn't know what these things were.
Yeah, right.
Can we do that?
No.
Is there any way to unlearn progression through unlearning?
No, you still got to learn more stuff.
So let's do a contrast and compare. These are things that I'm seeing online. You've got John Kirby, Pentagon spokesman, yesterday at a White House press briefing, addressing the protests in China. Now, you got a couple of things going on in China, don't you? You got these anti-COVID lockdown protests in China, and you've got also these Apple workers who are not happy. They are protesting the working conditions for Apple, where most of Apple's stuff is actually assembled. A lot of it is designed in Cupertino, California, but they outsource a lot of the work over to China.
China.
That is so loud. Why does he do it so loud? All right, so a lot going on in China. Well, the COVID lockdowns are insane in China. They're welding people inside apartment buildings. They can't get out. They have no food. They're going to starve. A fire breaks out. They're going to die. But that is what they're doing. So when asked about these lockdowns, John Kirby from the Pentagon is just pussyfooting around it, whether it's the lockdown policies themselves or the protests in China. Let's listen to a couple of these clips here from John Kirby.
So just to follow up, John, on the China issue, why is the White House's line that everybody has the right to peacefully protest and not the U.S. thinks it's bad to lock people up in their houses to stop COVID?
We've made it clear, Peter, that a lockdown is not a policy that we're going to support here. We've come a long way over these last 3 years. Hard to believe, 3 years in terms of treating COVID and preventing COVID. So we've said, a lockdown is not a policy that we support here. But obviously, there are people in China that have concerns about that, and they're protesting that, and we believe they should be able to do that peacefully.
Oh, there you go. I mean, they're just saying, they should be able to peacefully protest any policy, but they're not making any value judgments about lockdowns. Well, we're not going to do those here, but in China, they might do those, and people feel free to speak out. Peacefully protest. Here's more on this.
I'm wondering, what is the president's reaction when he hears protesters in China chant freedom or Xi Jinping step down?
The president's not going to speak for protesters around the world. They're speaking for themselves.
Such cowardice on display. He's not going to make any kind of value judgment about the protest. He's not going to try to speak for the protesters. The president's all about them speaking for themselves. Well, part of the problem is they're not free to do so. They're being squashed by the government. Now, let's compare that to Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, who knows all about the politics of lockdown policy. He comes out. He's not afraid to make a value judgment on lockdowns.
Announcement. I just want to make a comment about what we've been seeing going on in China. This zero COVID policy is draconian. It violates people's liberties, and it is completely unscientific. And the people of China are right to be able to speak out and protest against what the Chinese Communist Party is doing. This CCP has a maniacal desire to exert total control over its population. Zero COVID is really just the pretext for them to do what they want to do anyways. And that is not a model that can work over the long term. The people in China are finally speaking out against it. And I just think we need these draconian COVID policies to go to the ash heap of history where they belong.
Very different in tone and tenor. Really, you have to come out. Things are either good or bad sometimes. Well, it's not what I would want for myself. That is just pussyfooting around it. And that's what a lot of Democrats do. They wait. They see where the wind's blowing, and then they'll either jump in front of the parade or they will condemn after the fact. Because that's what we see. They just don't know how to lead. What I hear from Ron DeSantis there is leadership. What is the governor of Florida? Why is he making these comments? Well, because they need to be made, and that's what leaders do. So I saw that just like a stark contrast from what we're getting out of the White House. What else you got, Bud, the producer?
Speaking of shifts in tone, I got something a little bit more lighthearted trending on the Twitterverse. So about, a little over 20 years ago, the show That 70s Show came out. Sure. And now it's about the time where we're far enough away that it would be the 90s show, and that's exactly what's happening. So Netflix has released their trailer for That 90s Show. It's still starring... what's his name? Kurtwood Smith as Red, and Deborah Jo Rupp as Kitty Foreman. Those are the two they show in the trailer. There's rumors other characters are going to come back and be on the show, but it looks like it's their granddaughter. So I got a bit of the trailer here.
Hey Grandma, hey Grandpa. Okay, kids, the basement is all yours.
Lights on, shirts on, and no dancing.
No dancing. You're like the guy from Footloose. No dancing, you guys.
They go in my room. My foot goes in their ass.
You sweet man. I think we should just say, whoa.
Yeah, so it's kind of following the same format. It's the same house and Kitty and Red.
They got
so
the Big Star song is there. The same theme song, except it was it's made to sound like a 90s punk or grunge song.
So
I love Kurtwood Smith. I hope Red Foreman is front and center in this,
right?
Because he's the best character. He's one of the best actors, man. Kurtwood Smith from RoboCop. He was in a show called Patriot. Red Foreman is probably the one that people know the most. But I'll check it out.
Yeah, I might give it. I'll at least check out like the first episode, see where it goes. It's all going to depend on if the cast is any good, because that's what made that the first show.
You think I can't do lighthearted, Bud? I'll do it. I will do it right now. We have Adam Sandler was given some sort of Lifetime Achievement Award at something called the Gotham Awards. Now, Adam Sandler does so many of these things. The setup here from this clip of his speech accepting this Gotham Award is that he didn't prepare a speech, and his kids found out he didn't prepare a speech, and they thought that was inappropriate. So they agreed to write his speech, okay? And they said, but you have to deliver it in that stupid Southern accent you do. So he's like, okay, fine. If you're going to do the work for me, I'll do it. So this is just a part of Adam Sandler's speech, and this is why I love Adam Sandler. No matter how many garbage movies he puts out, I love this guy. It's hard not to.
Daddy's Sandler film career began in 1988, formed by two guiding principles. People in prison need movies too, and TBS needs content to show between all them basketball games. He went on to make the comedic classics Billy Madison, thank you, Happy Gilmore, The Wedding Singer, The Water Boy, Big Daddy. Which one is Big Daddy again? We asked him one time. The movie with the little cutie who grows up to be Cole and Dylan Sprouse? Daddy responded, I guess you could remember it as such. Or you could remember it as the movie that paid for this house. And your grandma's house. And your other grandma's house. Rob Schneider's house. And your braces. And Rob Schneider's braces.
How can you not like the guy? And he's right. How many people has Adam Sandler made rich just by doing his goofy voices and his goofy characters? Same movie over and over again, just like the hapless goon who does big things. So that dude, and then he can turn around and do something like Uncut Gems, which was fantastic. He can do the heavy, he can do the dramatic, but he just chooses to do his goofy movies and get paid. That guy goes on a vacation every year to make a movie with his best friends, and they all get paid, and they get to go to the south of France or Hawaii or wherever the hell they want to go. That dude's got it made. He has the respect of everybody in Hollywood. But then there's the critics. There's that whole layer of critics in Hollywood who hate him, but he's still, all he does is make money and just do whatever he wants. He's the best. Oh, what's the best Adam Sandler movie? That's a great question. 683-0989. I like the Genuine Article. I like Billy Madison, but man, I've never seen my dad laugh harder than at Happy Gilmore. Check that. He loved Ace Ventura. But when we saw Happy Gilmore together, man, my dad loves golf, so watching that with him, that was a lot of fun. 683-0989.
Hey, Jake,
That's the Ricks.
I got a quick one before we go.
You got something else?
One last little thing from the Twitterverse. Top Gun Maverick is returning to theaters December 2nd to December 15th.
Yes! Why wouldn't it? It hasn't left some theaters. Some theaters have kept it. No, that's a perfect. They should keep it throughout the holidays.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
What do people do on Christmas? A lot of people, what's their deal? We're sitting around. We got family in town. Instead of sitting around looking at each other, let's go look at Tom Cruise. Let's do it. Yeah, so Top Gun Maverick, the gift that keeps on giving. Paramount Pictures, good job. All right, we will get back to the text line, 683-0989. Get you an update on the severe weather. Anything happening out there? You seeing anything dicey? You seeing any high winds? You seeing any rotational winds? In next hour, we're going to check in with Nick the Storm Chaser, see if he's still alive. We'll do that. And keep it right here. This is the Nation of Jake. All right, welcome back.
Yes, have some.
Yeah, big story. USA advances over Iran in the World Cup. Remember when the U.S. men's national team wasn't even qualifying for the World Cup, or they were getting beat by Ghana? Those are dark times for USA soccer. Now, man, it's all the possibilities are there with the U.S. moving on. I think it's the best that we beat Iran because they sent that troll reporter. That's really it. And that's what it comes down to. As I saw this clip, Tyler Adams, captain of the U.S. men's national team, he's supposed to be asked questions about, the World Cup, whatever else. And this Iranian reporter decided to scold him over his pronunciation of Iran.
Say you support the Iranian people, but you're pronouncing our country's name wrong. Our country is named Iran, not Iran. Please, once and for all, let's get this clear.
Let's get it clear. I'd say, you sit down. No questions from you, sir. We're not doing that. So I would have lost it. But that kid, he did a good job of clashing it up, and that's why he's there, and I'm a jerk on the radio in Memphis, Tennessee. 683-0989, 683-0989. We had that clip from Adam Sandler from those Gotham Awards, whatever that is. I don't know, but it was very funny because Adam Sandler, he's a funny guy, man. He's never really lost anything when his stand-up. His stand-up has remained funny since those CDs that came out when we were in high school, or at least when I was in high school. What the Hell Happened to Me? That was huge. I think he played the U of M Fieldhouse that year, and everybody went just because they wanted Adam Sandler to make fun of them. He was white hot for a moment, and then it kind of went downhill. But look, I loved Billy Madison, and I loved Happy Gilmore, and then it was kind of spotty from then on. I didn't love Little Nicky. I liked Mr. Deeds okay. Which one did you like, bud?
I liked Little Nicky. I thought it was all right.
Little Nicky it was bad.
The voice was terrible, but it was all right.
The soundtrack was great. The Little Nicky soundtrack, Deftones are on it. There's all kinds of fantastic songs on the Little Nicky soundtrack. But what's your favorite Adam Sandler movie? We were talking about it. Any good suggestions here, bud?
Oh, well, of course, Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, Punch Drunk Love came up. Vince V shared that one. Mr. Deeds, that's Lola. Another Happy Gilmore. The Bob Barker scene. I gotta agree with the anonymous texter here. That might be the best. Look, man, the best bit.
Happy Gilmore was kind of like, it really delivered. I mean, Billy Madison, you really didn't know what to think. You're watching Nudie Magazine Day, The Penguin. I mean, it was hilarious, don't get me wrong, but the follow-up, Happy Gilmore really delivered on the old follow-up. All right, let's play Name Drop. 683-0989, 683-0989. Call now for a chance at some Malco movie passes with Name Drop.
Hey, look at that freak!
Look at him. Seems like a nice guy, and he just exudes macho.
The Nation of Jake on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
All right, welcome to it.
Yes, have some.
My third shifters, where are you? Where are you? Are you on the Rick's Powder Coating text line right now? Check in if you are for hour number 3 of the Nation of Jake. If you experience any severe weather, please let me know where you are and what you're seeing, because you are the eyes on the skies. Both the East Memphis studios, where Bud the producer is right now, and the east of Memphis studios, where I am right now, have no windows. And so we don't know if it's raining very hard until we start hearing it. And you don't start hearing it until it's bedlam out there. So we are not the best barometer of what's going on. What is a good barometer? Well, an actual barometer might help. A thermometer might help. I'm looking right now at the outage map. That's probably the best indicator of how bad it could be getting out there in a severe weather situation. I'm looking at the MLGW outage map. There are 6 outages. A total number of customers affected is 35. I have seen more outages on a 65-degree day where it's sunny than I do right now. So things can't be that bad. But all eyes are on MLG and W. All eyes are on Public Works. All eyes are on the skies in this severe weather event, which is basically right now just rain heavy in some parts we're hearing. Other parts, not so much. It's just rain. But it's better to be very careful, exercise an abundance of caution. We've had school closures, or at least early dismissals, Memphis, Shelby County schools, and others. Not sure if I agree with all that. And again, I just base that pretty much on the fact that we never got out of school when it rained. You know, when it would snow, sure. Honestly, whenever it would snow during the day and they do an early dismissal, that would cause all kinds of problems, because at the time in high school, you got a bunch of inexperienced drivers all leaving at the same time in a snowstorm. But that's neither here nor there. Maybe, I mean, is it going to be worth checking in with Nick the Storm Chaser? We'll see what I'll shoot him a text and we'll find out. Also, Tim Van Horn, who I'm sure is elated after a 1-0 win, the U.S. men's national team over Iran to advance in World Cup soccer. We'll check in with Tim. We'll probably end up talking with him about soccer instead of talking about the weather, even though he does have some insight, being a meteorologist himself. I think once you're a meteorologist, you're always a meteorologist. So plenty to look forward to here in hour 3 of the Nation of Jake. But being 4:07 p.m., this is what we do.
Shall we play a game?
What's your name, dude? Nation of Jake's 4 o'clock name drop.
Drop!
On News Talk 98.9.
Say it!
All right, welcome to Name Drop. I've got a couple of Malco movie passes. For our contestant, I believe we have Chad. Chad, welcome to the Nation of Jake. How are you?
Any better, I'd be 2 people. How are you?
I'm doing great. How's the weather where you are, Chad?
Not too bad. Raining just a little bit. Not too bad, though.
All right, well, where are you? That would help, too.
Out in Covington, Tennessee.
Okay. All right, Covington, up Tipton County way, so you're probably on the outskirts of it. They said the whole Mid-South was going to be under a severe weather watch. The severe weather hasn't really materialized much. I know there's been some heavy rains in some parts, and it's been largely wet. I think a lot of it was revised to be down south of town, so you look like you're out of harm's way. That's good, Chad. Now, Chad, have you ever played Name Drop with us?
I have not.
Okay, so you got a clean slate. You are just no record whatsoever. You got a chance to be undefeated today in Name Drop. Do you know how the game works, Chad?
I do not. A coworker talked me into this, so advise me how it works.
Oh, brand new to the Nation of Jake, brand new to Name Drop. So I get to explain to you the rules. All right, Chad, we've got an audio clip. Who's talking in the background right now? I can't have that happening. Tell him to pipe down.
My bad.
Tell him to pipe down. All right. It's all right. It's okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got an audio clip, Chad. And the way it works is, you're working. I get it.
Yes,
so
sir.
I'm going to play this audio clip, and you're going to listen to it. And after the clip, you're going to identify who's speaking in the clip by dropping their name. This is somebody who's making headlines, somebody in the news, somebody whose voice either you recognize or you'll be able to identify them through context of what they're saying. Easy enough, Chad?
All right, I'll give it my best shot.
All right. If you're ready, I will play the clip. Chad, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
I guess what I would say, you just never know what somebody's going through. You know, in the audience right now, you're sitting next to strangers, and somebody's mother died last week, somebody's child is sick, somebody just lost their job. Somebody just found out their spouse cheated. There's all these things, and there's strangers, and you just don't know what's going on with people.
All right, Chad. If you know who it is, drop that name.
I'm going to get Marshall Walker.
Marshall Walker.
You lose. Good day, sir.
Nope, sorry. That is not Marshall Walker or Herschel Walker. It's not. That's not the right answer. So what happens now, Chad, is that
Loser! You're a loser!
I embarrass you.
You get nothing!
And I chase you off the phone, and we get somebody else who's going to steal it from you. All right, Chad?
All right.
All right, so get out of here. Get out of here. If you know who that was, 683-0989 if you want to steal that from Chad. Chad was a first-time player. He was put up to it by a friend. Didn't seem like he had his heart 100% into it. So, Bud, who's going to steal it?
Cody wants to steal it.
Cody, the code man. Code man, what's going on?
Hey, I know one thing for sure. It's not John Stamos. I know that for sure today.
It is not John Stamos, Cody. Hey, how's the weather where you are, and where are you?
I'm just on the outside of Bartlett, heading towards Atoka. Just had some idiot pull out in front of me, but the weather's fine.
Oh, is this fine? I guess we dodged this one, man. I guess it wasn't so bad. Maybe there's more to come. I don't want to speak too soon. But, it didn't seem as severe. You got the outage map looks okay with MLG and W. And so I guess the early dismissals and all the caution was, I guess it was fine. But then again, it just didn't materialize, which is good. Now, Cody, you want to hear any more of the clip or do you think you got it?
No, I got it, man.
All right. Drop that name, Cody.
It is Will Smith.
Drop!
That's right, Will Smith back in the news, and I think we know why. Will Smith, the slap on the face of Chris Rock at the Oscar Awards, he hasn't said much since then. He has apologized for his actions. Of course, if you recall, Will Smith was not accepting an award at the time from Chris Rock. Chris Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith, Will's wife's shaved head. Talked about G.I. Jane 2. Some kind of lame, innocuous joke. Will Smith famously now got up, slapped him across the face, looking very emotional. He said that, keep my wife's name out your mouth. And then he went up later and accepted an award for Best Actor. And then he was banned from the Oscars for 10 years. But I think that Will Smith, he needed to go on TV because I think he has a movie coming out, Cody. And so he's got to promote the movie, but nobody wants to talk to Will Smith about anything but the slap, do they?
No. Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation, that's for sure.
I guess. I mean, look, I'm over it. I'm more interested in what Chris Rock has to say at this point because Will Smith is saying nothing. In that clip, Cody, all he said is, he didn't sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger there. He's like, people going through, I don't know. Why did I turn into Arnie right there? I have no idea. Listen to the rest of the clip, though, Cody.
And I was going through something that night, and not that justifies my behavior at all. I would just say, you're asking what did I learn, and it's that we just got to be nice to each other, man. You know, it's like, it's hard.
That's what you learned? Cody, what is he talking about? He starts putting up these scenarios about how you never know what people are going through, but he never once says what he was going through. He just says, I was going through something, you know, oh, Uncle Phil, oh. And it's like, what are you? So out of all this, Cody, my man learned that we have to be nice to each other. Did he learn to keep his hands to himself? Did he learn that slapping Chris Rock was not the answer to any question that could have been posed to him? What?
So Jada Pink was with who? With somebody over more than half his age? Wasn't it like one of his son's friends, or who was it?
Well,
like,
yeah,
he was
yeah.
like dating, you know,
Yeah.
and he's doing everything he can to get her back. And he saw his opportunity, I guess, if that's what you want to call it, to defend her. And at the end of the day, she didn't defend him.
Well, hold on a second, though. But Cody, he's been asked about this, has Will Smith, and he denies it had anything to do with that. Like, he won't admit what was going on. He just gives you this nebulous, well, you know, I was going through something, and then he goes on later. This was from Comedy Central, Trevor Noah's show, The Daily Show, I guess. And he did an interview, and the whole time he's just saying, you know, I was just going through something, you know, his childhood, you know, I guess his dad was abusive toward his mom. And it's like, hold on, though. What did that have to do with that moment when you decided on national TV to go and assault Chris Rock, who did nothing to no one? All he did was make a lame joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's haircut.
Yeah, and I guarantee you if it was a different Rock, like Dwayne The Rock, he would have never went on that stage and smacked him.
Yeah, he slapped a guy who was smaller than him. But you see through all this, because he's not giving you any reasons. He's not really, he's just saying, oh, you know, I'm sorry. But then he goes on and he's really just trying to promote a movie, because he has this movie coming out. It's called Emancipation, I guess. You know, I'm assuming he plays a slave. It's supposed to be one of those Oscar bait movies, but now he's regretful because I don't think people are going to go see the movie because Will Smith's in it. And they're mad at him for slapping Chris Rock. I don't know if that's how people make their movie-going decisions. There's plenty of bad guys who make great movies. So, again, like, all I hear from him is just a bunch of platitudes and no real explanation, no real regret for what he did. Just he's just going through these interviews, Cody, hoping that people will just forget about it. They'll just forget about it. And he's got a movie to promote. So, anyway.
Yeah.
All right, Cody. Yeah. You won. Congratulations. You're going to the movies, and lucky for you, Top Gun Maverick. If you have not seen it yet, it's back in the theaters. Bud, when was that?
December 2nd to the 15th.
All right, yeah. So we'll have to get you those Malco movie passes sooner than later. Have you seen Top Gun Maverick yet?
I haven't, man. And I just moved down to Memphis probably a little less than a year ago, so I got to figure out where I'm going at that.
All right, where'd you move from?
Illinois.
Okay. Hey, you like Bud? What part of Illinois? You and Bud might have been neighbors up there.
A town called Bloomington.
I lived in Bloomington
Illinois.
briefly. I lived at the Spring Hill Apartments.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
All right, you and Bud can get together and talk about the Cubs versus the White Sox. I know Bud loves that.
Hey,
subject.
Bud, you want to go see a movie, man?
This is the second time Bud's been asked out on a date. Olivia asked him out. Olivia asked out Bud last week, and now was it Cody? Cody, you and Bud are going to go hang out. Bud, you're making all kinds of friends. Aren't you glad you got this gig? All right, hey, Cody, appreciate you playing the game. Appreciate you listening. Welcome to town. You'll learn your way around in no time.
I appreciate it, man.
Talk to you later. There's Cody. Yeah, making friends on the radio. All right, 683-0989. Tell you what, we'll check in with Nick the Storm Chaser next. We'll see if there's even a storm to chase. We'll see if he was able even to get to it. And we'll do that. Maybe even check in with Tim Van Horn. We'll do it next, right here in the Nation of Jake. All right, welcome back.
Yes, have some.
Not much severe weather to speak of. A bunch of rain. That's a good thing. Look, I'm not one of these guys who is a thrill chaser. I'm not a storm chaser. Nick is, though. And I went to high school with Nick, and I saw that he was chasing storms. Someone like Fox 13 or something. And I'm like, wait a second. This guy goes and drives towards the funnel clouds. And so I figured we'd call him up. I've got him queued up here. We'll see if he answers. Let's see. He might be out in a storm. Might have gotten swept away by something. Who knows? Nick the Storm Chaser. Come on. Told him I'd be calling. Can't believe he would do this to me. Maybe he ran into a storm.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated
Appreciate
voice
y'all.
messaging system.
I don't want anybody to hear Nick's number. I don't want him to get flooded. That was pretty lame. Maybe we'll try that again here in a few seconds. Maybe he doesn't have like one of those like cyber trucks. I don't think yet. I don't think that Nick the Storm Chaser is able to really go into a funnel cloud, but he does go track them. I don't think he has any formal training either, so I think he's just got kind of a screw loose. Again, we weren't good friends or anything like that, but he's definitely, let's see, I think that he's ready for us now. Let's try this again. I just talked to him. What's going, what? I've got this new phone set up, and it's not really working for me. Well, this has gone all to hell already. Let me try to do this one more time. Here we go. Nick the Storm Chaser. Let me find his number. There we go. I hope he's okay. I hope my dude didn't get sucked up into a tornado.
Hey, it's like
Nick.
Hey, I can barely hear you. I'm in some pretty hard rain. Let me call you back.
Well, no, I don't have. It's the radio. I don't have a lot of time for you to. Come on, Nick. This is what you're made for. You're in hard rain. Pull over. Let's talk. What happened? He's done. Oh, that's serious. Serious rain. All right, so we'll see. That didn't work out very well. Maybe he needs to up his game on the storm chasing. We'll see if we can't get back in touch with Nick at some point. 683-0989, 683-0989. Maybe he doesn't appreciate the fact that I'm kind of deriding his storm chasing. Maybe he takes it a little more seriously these days. But yeah, it must be some pretty hard rain down. He said he was down in Winona, down there. He said he was going to head south into wherever they said that the bad stuff was really going to be focused, south of I-40. So hopefully everything's fine. Hopefully he'll be able to check in with us and let us know what was going on. But mostly we're seeing a lot of hard rain, and that's fine. I don't know if we should have shut down schools or anything like that. But again, I guess, given, that we have these storm tracking abilities, not with people going out and, chasing storms, but, radar and tools to do that. But they can change. Things change on the fly, on a dime. So, again, the power outage map, I think, is probably the best. Also, Wolfman has said that the Waffle House is still open. So those are all good developments. I'm checking the outage map once again, and right now there are 5 outages. Customers affected 26. Seriously, like there are beautiful, gorgeous, picturesque days where you have more power outages than that. So it's a good thing that it missed us, or that we missed it. That's positive. I'm glad everybody seems to be safe right now. Of course, there are those like Ditch, and I'm told, Ditch from the morning show, from Memphis Morning News. He and I go way back. That he still has had to deal with these water issues in his basement. Maybe we'll call him. Maybe he'll be able to talk to us about it. But yeah, man, for years, Ditch has been battling water. He's been digging culverts. He has pumps. He's got pipes. And this dude, every time a hard rain is brewing, he has to stop what he's doing. Hey, Bud, has he ever had to stop, like when you're interacting with him at the station, and just run home?
Probably. He doesn't tell me, but he seems to have left abruptly.
Always check the weather. If you look out and clouds are forming, Ditch runs home. He gets in his truck and he drives straight home. He doesn't live far from the station, and he just starts watching the skies for if water is going to flood his basement.
Get some sandbags.
Yeah, no, dude, everything. Anything and everything they sell as a water deterrent measure, that guy has tried, because he lives on this like truncated hill, and the water just flows right down into this basement sunroom thing he's got. Maybe we'll talk to him about it tomorrow on the morning show. I'm usually on around 8:30 or so, 8:15, 8:30. They're on Memphis Morning News. All right, we will check in with Tim Van Horn. Maybe he'll have more news for us about the weather and the World Cup. How big is this for the USA? All right, welcome back to the Nation of Jake.
Yes, have some.
We were all ready. They closed schools early. We had Jeff Brightwell in the news lounge. We had the power outage map from MLGW.com. We had that all pulled up, ready to cover some severe weather. I mean, throughout the day, started to get a little less severe, at least north of I-40. They still said some nasty stuff was down in North Mississippi. Meteorology is not an exact science, but we do have a meteorologist on staff here, Tim Van Horn from Memphis Morning News. Now, Tim, you do not work primarily as a meteorologist, but is this kind of like a once a Met, always a Met kind of thing?
Yeah, it's kind of like a coach.
Yeah.
Once a coach, always a coach. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So you are still like, you're not going to get busted for predicting weather, forecasting weather without a license or anything like that. It's not like being a lawyer, right?
No, I'll just waive my degree from Mississippi State in everybody's face if they want to step up. So it's all good.
All right. Okay. You know what? I think Mississippi State, they canceled all classes today because of the severe weather threat that never really materialized where we are in, at least not in our immediate range of NewsTalk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. What happened? You were following the storm. What went down?
The system all the energy was over central Mississippi and over west central Mississippi as it came out of Louisiana and extreme southern Arkansas. And actually the rain and the thunderstorms that we got this morning around 8:45 to around 9:30 was actually a good thing, because once that moved in, it drained some of the energy. It stayed cloudy. The energy never really revamped here. So really all of that energy that was over central Mississippi, it never really had a chance to spread further north. So that's why it's been mostly contained in that tornado watch is in central Mississippi rather than in parts of North Mississippi. So we caught a break. So the early thunderstorms actually gave us the break that we should be thankful for.
Okay, good. All right, Tim Van Horn's here. I talked to Nick the Storm Chaser earlier. Do you know Nick? Nick runs around in his Trailblazer. And
I know him as Nick H. Yes.
Yeah, Nick H. I went to high school with Nick H. And so every time there's a big storm, he's talking about, we just talked to him, Tim, and he was cool for a minute, and then I called him back, tried to get him on the program here, and he said, hey, man, I'm getting swallowed by rain. I have to go. And usually a guy who chases storms, he's fine with talking you through it, but it must have been some serious rain. He said he was down south around Winona. Is that kind of where it gets kind of dicey?
Yeah, once you get down that far down 55, then you're starting to really get into that northern edge of where the heavier thunderstorms are expected to be. So that makes sense. And yeah, Nick loves to run into danger. So
yes.
I guess they'd call that an occupational hazard.
That's a different breed. They didn't teach that at Mississippi State, did they? They don't have a storm chasing program.
Well, they do have some clubs down there. I chose not to join that one.
I got you. All right, Tim Van Horn from Memphis Morning News is here. The other thing that you have moved on and specialized in is the great game of soccer. Do you call it soccer or football, Tim Van Horn?
I call it soccer just so I don't get slapped.
Yeah, exactly. We call it soccer around here. I don't care what they call it globally. We're calling it soccer. Now, I'm sure that you were very excited about what we just witnessed a little while ago. This from Fox Sports.
Robinson, back for the captain, Tyler Adams. Austin McKinney, Des making a big run. It's meant for him. Des is snuck in behind. Des into the middle. Pulisic scores! Might have paid the price.
A goal from Christian Pulisic in minute 38. That held up. The defense kept Iran scoreless. And now we've got a U.S. men's national team that is moving on. How big a deal is this? Give us some perspective, Tim Van Horn.
They completely missed out on the World Cup in 2018. It's a massive deal. I think a lot of Americans have been waiting 8 years for this moment. So it's a big deal for the soccer fans. And the game against England, where they tied at one apiece, around 19 million at its peak. That's how many Americans were watching that match. So there's a lot of folks that are fired up about this. And you got to love any sport where, and this is a lot like ice hockey. You got to love a sport. Anytime where a goal is called, it's like the second coming of Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Look, I mean, those guys on Fox are great. I don't know who was announcing those games. I mean, I'm very peripheral with my attention that I give to World Cup soccer. I put it this way, Tim Van Horn. If it's the U.S. against any other country on the world stage, I'm in. If not, I don't care the sport. It could be curling, Olympic curling. If the U.S. is in contention and there's a big stakes, then I'm watching and I'm into it. Now with these guys, they were good, but you don't really get the kind of effusive announcing that you do, say, the Colombian guys or guys from Honduras. The goal! Do you do that when you call soccer games, Tim?
No, I don't. I do get excited, but there's a lot. There's a lot of, I guess, what is it? The rolling of the tongue in a lot of the Latin calls because of the names. But no, it's more straightforward for me. I have to.
Go! Give it a try. It feels good. Do it.
Oh no, thanks. I'm good. I got to save up the voice for in the morning. But you can always go to my Tim Van Horn at Twitter and catch some of my greatest calls from Memphis 901 FC if you would love to do that.
Oh, right on. So let's take us through it. That was the last World Cup 4 years ago. U.S. didn't even qualify. That was embarrassing, right? Did I have that right?
Yeah, we lost to Trinidad and Tobago, and that loss actually caused us to not qualify. So that was a rough time. That was pretty embarrassing, but it's been a long time. But it's good to see them, coming back, and they'll take on the Netherlands, which should be an intriguing game on Saturday, depending on who's healthy for that game. And we have some youngsters with some speed that might give us a chance. But let's be honest, it's an uphill climb because we've only scored 2 goals. In 3 matches.
Sorry, you said it. Well, hold on. Christian Pulisic is star player. He's the guy. I mean, he is the guy. I don't know if he's the captain of the team, but he is the most visible player. He's the star. He's got some sort of abdominal injury. Have you read about this yet? What's going on with him?
Yeah, it was the collision on the goal with the goalkeeper. He got hit pretty hard. Now I don't know if there's I don't know how bad that is. If was any internal bleeding or anything like that. Hopefully a report will come out. But I have to tell you, his goal will make him a legend. It goes down in history. Not since Hulk Hogan defeated the Iron Sheik have this many Americans been excited about defeating Iran.
Look,
excuse me. I don't want to upset.
That's the biggest strike on Iran since Soleimani a few years back. I mean, that's, they blew that guy to bits. This goal is huge. Goal! Hey, I got a question for you. I was doing some contrast and comparing between the U.S. and Wales, for example. It's always fun to look at the population of a country and then their competitiveness on the global stage of football or soccer, as you'll call it. Wales has 3 million people, total population of Wales. And if I'm not mistaken, they were able to beat the U.S. men's national team, and we have 330 million people in this country. How?
That is fake news because they did not beat them. We drew 1-1.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay, whatever. They didn't beat Wales. How is it that a country of 330 million doesn't have better players than a country of 3 million? What is the dynamic at play here? I think I might know the answer, but I want to hear it from an expert.
That is a fantastic question, Jake. It's because in Britain, Wales, of course, a country within a country.
Sure.
Folks in that country and in essentially the rest of the world, they grow up with a ball at their feet. American kids are usually given a ball into their hands for baseball, football, basketball, softball. It's something that is basically instilled in them from the moment that they can walk. So I wouldn't put the numbers into it. I would put on how that they are raised. But let me throw this at you as well, because I am here to stand with America. Over 50 Super Bowls have been won by American teams. Not a damn one by the Welsh.
No
Think about
question.
that.
Yeah, no question. That is a great counter argument. That is a fantastic perspective to have. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. That's kind of where I was going, is that globally, soccer or football, whatever they want to call it, that's the number one sport. That's the sport everybody plays. Here stateside, you've got a choice of half a dozen, major sports, whether you're talking about football, basketball, hockey, soccer, whatever it is. So a lot of the elite athletes in the United States choose other sports. So it's not as universal as it is in other countries. And also, maybe does that also explain? Hold on. The women's national team has had so much more success than the men's national team, right? Is that because
Yes.
soccer is probably one of the it's more popular among young girls here stateside than it is again for young men?
Perhaps that's partly true, but let's contrast the two, because in men's soccer, what you're seeing on the field are the best players whose parents could afford to put them in club sports and put them in the Olympic development program.
Yeah.
That's what you're seeing. Very rarely do you have the American player who grew up in abject poverty. Clint Dempsey might have been the last good one, but most of them are kids that have had the opportunity, whose parents or families had the funding to be able to get there. The women's game, I think, is totally different, because I don't care how much the left complains, women's rights in the United States, while there may be some things to go, or maybe there are other things that need to be worked on in our society, women's rights compared to the rest of the world, they're the best here compared to anywhere else. Opportunities abound for women. You got Title IX, the opportunities abound. The rest of the world, maybe not so much, and that's why we're ahead of the rest of the world, is because we actually don't treat our women most of the time like second-class citizens.
No, because
they're not.
Like in Iran, where we've got these troll reporters, Tim. I know you've heard the clips. Tyler Adams, the captain of the U.S. men's national team, he had to sit there and take these questions from this Iranian reporter who was, I think, just sent over to Qatar to troll. That's all he was doing. I've got the audio clip here. We've heard it a couple of times, but we'll listen again.
Say you support the Iranian people, but you're pronouncing our country's name wrong. Our country is named Iran, not Iran. Please, once and for all, let's get this clear. Second of all, are you okay to be representing a country that has so much discrimination against black people in its own borders? And we saw the Black Lives Matter movement over the past few years.
My apologies.
I mean, what kind of question is that when this guy is from Iran? And I'll say it however I want to, Tim Van Horn. This guy is from Iran, where they have no rights. The Iranian national team, I'm sure you watched it because you're an avid soccer fan, they were singing that anthem today because I guess in the first round where they refused to sing the anthem as kind of a middle finger to the Iranian regime, well, they sang it today because the regime over there in Iran threatened to kill their families if they did not. That is where that guy is from. That's what
Tyler Adams handled this like a champ, because all that was looking for bulletin board material for the Iranian team. That's all that was. He diffused that. He was perfect with it. He played 4D chess with the guy. It was brilliant, just as brilliant as he was on the pitch today. I will not say field. I will say pitch today.
Okay.
Although it is soccer, it is a soccer pitch. It is a pitch of grass.
Gotcha. All right. Well, cool. I'm learning a lot now. Now, what do we know? Like, let's just shift into, the team that you cover and you follow and you call games. 901 FC, new coach, huh?
Yeah, Stephen Glass. He used to coach for Atlanta United 2, which is the development team for Atlanta United in MLS. And then he also coached very briefly in Scotland, and he is here replacing Ben Pierman, who went to what he believes will be greener pastures in Charleston. And I got to tell you, we lost a great coach with him, but I'm looking forward to seeing what Stephen Glass can do.
Yeah, look, Charleston's very nice, but the nature of this type of league is people are always looking to move on and move along and do stuff. It's the nature of what essentially is minor league soccer. You can't get used to all the faces they're going to change, but I know that 901 FC's got a huge following, and you're a big part of that. Tim Van Horn from Memphis Morning News. You'll be on 6 to 9 tomorrow morning with Ditch and Jeff Brightwell. I appreciate you taking the time. Enjoy the U.S. victory. What are you doing after a victory like that? Are you celebrating? Are you popping some champagne?
You know, I am so excited about this. Like I said, I likened it to Hulk Hogan defeating the Iron Sheik, but I'd also say it's like Rocky beating Drago in Rocky IV. So I'm heading to the gym. I'm standing outside at East Sporta Gym, and then I am going to go. It's chest day because I want to be able to move my pecs, but voluntarily.
Gotcha. All right. Rocky would not go to a gym. He would go in the woods, and he would jog with giant logs on his back. But sport is fine for you. Get in there.
Well, yeah, but I got to tell you though, I don't really need the swimming pool. I'm probably going to move over to ATC Fitness because they rock. So,
all right, do it up. All right, Tim Van Horn. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning, bright and early.
All right, brother. Take care,
man. Talk to you later. There, Tim Van Horn, Memphis Morning News. Not only a meteorologist, but also a soccer aficionado, a soccer announcer for Memphis 901 FC. He's got a lot going on, and I'm damn glad. Tim and I go way back. He's probably top 5 in my favorite Van Horns. All right. 683-0989, 683-0989. I've got some texts coming in on the Rick's Powder Coating text line. Anything you got you want to get in before the end of the program, do that now at 683-0989. Have you read about the Biden nuclear official who got busted for stealing luggage at the aeropuerto? Yeah, I want to leave you with this story coming up next right here in the Nation of Jake. All right, so I got some good news.
Yes, have some.
Nick the Storm Chaser is currently alive. He is not dead. He was not swallowed up by a storm or a funnel cloud. He's okay. He says it's windy. He's getting lashed by rain, and he can't hear a thing. So I guess we will not be able to check in with Nick the Storm Chaser. He has now screenshotted me the radar and where he is. He's right in the red. So he's in the middle of it. His location is right in the middle of it. He's in Winona. Yeah, he's in Winona, and he's in the red with a bunch of lightning bolts all around him. So he is not in a good place to join us on the program right now. Up here, up Memphis way, things are a little bit better. I'm looking at the MLGW outage map. Right now, 99.99% of customers with power. Number of outages, 5. Customers affected, 25. That is
Jake,
way below.
Vince V on the Rick's Powder Coating text line says those folks just didn't pay their bills. Referring when you were talking about it earlier.
Those are just delinquent bill payers. So, yeah, I don't know if that takes into consideration people who don't pay the bills, but, yeah, it's about right. And so 5 outages, that's nothing. On the most beautiful day in November in Memphis, Tennessee, that's what you're going to see. I mean, there's always somebody who's either having work done, somebody without power. So, look, the severe weather, that wasn't. I'm glad everybody seems to be safe right now, as safe as you can be throughout Memphis and the Mid-South. So if you got anything for me on the Rick's Powder Coating text line, 683-0989. 683-0989. I saw this yesterday, but there weren't a lot of news outlets who were reporting on this. Alpha News out of Minnesota, they reported that Sam Brenton, a senior Energy Department official, was charged with stealing a traveler's luggage in the Minneapolis airport in September, shortly before quietly taking a leave of absence. Brenton, who serves as the Department of Energy's Deputy Assistant Secretary for Spent Fuel and Waste Disposition, allegedly took a Vera Bradley suitcase worth $2,325 from the luggage carousel at the Minneapolis St. Paul Airport on September 17th, according to a criminal complaint filed in October. Now, the thing about Sam Brenton is you've probably seen photos of this person. I believe Sam Brenton is the first. I want to get it right. In June, Brenton made headlines after assuming the position in the Department of Energy's Office of Nuclear Energy as one of the government's first ever non-binary officials. This is a gender-fluid person. But when you look at photos of Sam Brinton, this is the person who is skinhead shaved bald, wearing dresses, sometimes wearing bondage gear, real heavy on the red lipstick. Very odd-looking person, if you ask me. I don't see a lot of people running around looking like Sam Brinton, especially not government officials in the Department of Energy. But it appears that Sam Brinton is also a luggage thief. On October 9th, Brinton denied stealing anything. When a police officer called to discuss the incident, Brinton confirmed still possessing the suitcase. If I had taken the wrong bag, I'm happy to return it, but I don't have any clothes for that other individual. Those were my clothes when I opened the bag. So this person is a liar, denying that they stole the bag. 2 hours after that phone call, Brinton called the officer back and apologized for not being completely honest. But Brinton said it was a mistake and blamed being tired for taking the wrong bag at the carousel. Of course, that's relatable. I mean, how many times, you get off a flight, you're jet lagged, you're so tired that you take the wrong bag off the baggage carousel and instead of taking your own bag, you take somebody else's very nice bag that costs $2,300. I will say it will explain one thing. If you look at it, the way this person dresses, that they simply wear clothes that they find in random bags at the airport, then it makes a whole lot more sense because this person dresses very, very odd. Shaved bald head with dress and high heels. And he's a dude, really, biologically. All right, I'll be back tomorrow. So long, and thanks for all the fish.